It's the Best Damn Sports Show podcast with your hosts, Jason Cahill and Bernie Kim.
Welcome to the Best Damn Sports Show podcast. I'm Jason Cahill.
And I'm not Bernie.
You're not Bernie Kim.
I'm not Bernie.
Bernie Kim is on assignment this week, filling in for him.
I'm Zeus.
Best Damn producer, Zeus.
But when Bernie and I are out on the town, people confuse us and mistake us for one another all the time.
I gotta say, Zeus, you have some pretty big shoes to fill.
I know.
Yeah.
Literally, Bernie wears a size 16 shoe.
Bernie's on the East Coast this week, so he will be back next week, and we've got a great podcast nonetheless.
Great podcast,
despite Bernie's absence.
Great week this week.
We're gonna have a great podcast. We have some cool things to talk about, and we've got a great guest this week on the podcast. We've got a guy who might just win the NL Cy Young Award. It's San Francisco Giants pitcher Tim Lincecum. Now, some of the real interesting things that we're going to talk to Tim about. Last night's game. He got hit by Randy Johnson when he was trying to bunt in the fifth inning, and he was on the ground writhing in pain. So we're going to ask him what it feels like to get hit with a Randy Johnson fastball. And I heard that he's got this boyish look to him, and so that when he tries to get into the stadium, that the security guards sometimes mistake him for the bat boy.
No way, the best player on the team. No chance.
He's the bat boy, and they won't let him in. So we'll definitely talk about that, and we'll ask him when he's out at dinner with Barry Zito and his $14.5 million contract, who picks up the tab? You know, Lincecum's only making about $400,000.
But he's the young guy. Young guy's got to pick it up for the old guy sometimes.
I'm going to say Barry Zito picks up that tab.
I say Lincecum every time.
All right, we'll find out. That's coming up later in the podcast. And, of course, if you want to email us, it's bestdampodcast@yahoo.com. We've got a great email from a guy named Nooch that we're going to read in just a few minutes. The first thing we're going to talk about is what happened on Monday night. And Monday night, the Best Damn Sports Show took part in a celebrity kickball game.
It was historic, the first ever Best Damn.
And hopefully not the last, because it was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. And not just for us, for the participants.
So Best Damn played the 6th-ranked kickball team in the nation, and not only was it Best Damn folk, but we invited some celebrities to take part as well.
Some of our friends.
So here's the lineup. I'm going to read you the lineup. I've got the scorecard in front of me. So on the Best Damn team, we had Amanda Beard starting at second base. Obviously, Olympic gold medalist Amanda Beard and Go Daddy Girl.
And great kickball player.
Yes, and batting second, our right center fielder. See, this is where we, I don't want to say we cheated.
No, he's a friend.
He's a friend of one of our producers, a ringer, though. I think you'd call him a ringer. He
An
was
MLS All-Star. Would you call him All-Stars?
Well, he was an All-Star.
But is that, it's not like a Pro Bowler, it's an All-Star?
He's an All-Star. You'd call him an All-Star. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, great guy.
I don't want to speak out of turn, but he may have won an MVP. Was he an MVP one season in the MLS?
He either won an MVP or he was in the race. He's very good.
So this is Aleko. He's a great guy. He played right center for us and bat second. And then Sal bat third and was the pitcher. Now, we'll get back to that in a minute. But Sal was a fantastic kickball pitcher.
Some would call him the Greg Maddux of pitching. He feels his position that well.
He definitely did. We had Alfonso Ribeiro, Carlton Banks. To those Fresh Prince fans out there. He backed cleanup and played shortstop. And then Chris Rose, of course, was our first baseman. Carissa Thompson played third. Podcast co-host Bernie Kim was in center field.
Star.
He also involved in probably the play of the game.
Oof.
Brody,
he might be on the disabled list for the next.
Yeah, he hurt his finger. Brody Stevens, comedian Brody Stevens, was out in the outfield. Tony Todd, who, I got to be honest here, I didn't really know who Tony Todd was heading into the game. I was told that if you Google Charlie Sheen's best friend, his name would come up. And sure enough, I Googled Charlie Sheen's best friend, and Tony Todd's name came up. So I don't know if you'd call him a celebrity. He's
a poor man's Kato Kalin.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that's what he had actually on the back of his shirt.
But hell of a kickball player.
Yeah, great and very competitive.
Very competitive and very upset that I batted him ninth in the order.
He was pissed.
He told me many, many times that he's never hit ninth in the order, and this is the first time.
And every time a kickball was in the air, he'd call anyone around him off.
Yeah, he was like Kelly Leak from the Bad News Bears, just calling everybody off. Even when Alfonso at shortstop would be going for a pop fly, he'd run in from the outfield and push him aside. But, hey, that's the kind of guy maybe you want out there on your kickball team. We had Molly from Sunset Tan, one of the Ollie girls.
One
Molly,
of the Ollie girls.
The other one fell ill. She was supposed to play, too. Holly was supposed to play. But Molly was there, and Molly did a fantastic job. She started off in the outfield, and we had her catch for the rest of the game.
And I'm not embarrassed to say this. I've watched Sunset Tan a couple times.
You should be embarrassed to say that.
Okay, I'm embarrassed to say it, but I was always a Holly fan of the Ollie twins. I always liked Holly more than Molly, but not anymore.
No.
Molly... She represented her show and herself well.
She really brought it. And, the thing about this game was, going into it, you were not sure. It could have gone either way. Our guys and the celebrities could have shown up and maybe for one or two innings kind of, given 100% and then got a little bored with the game and, kind of sat out and didn't really play hard for the rest of the game. You never know with celebrities.
You don't. And a producer of ours went there with me early on. We scoped out the scene. While we were there, unfortunately, a few celebrities like Holly had to back out at the last minute, and so we were a little nervous that the people that were there weren't going to be a part of it. But
yes, we had a couple of players back out at the last minute. Holly we mentioned, but Kendra from Girls Next Door was supposed to play, and she was going to pitch originally, and then her scheduling got in the way for Girls Next Door, and she couldn't do it. Which is why Sal had to come in and pitch. But like I was saying, it could have gone either way. It could have gone either very, very poorly or very, very well, and that's the way it went. It was a great success. Everybody really gave it 100%, and I got to tell you, by the end of the game, it really felt like you were involved in some sort of a championship game.
You were. It was
with
intense.
Money and trophies and awards on the line. And Sal, this is a 4-time NBA champ. And it really, for him, he treated it like it was Game 7.
He was as intense and we sometimes forget because we're around John Sally all the time.
Right.
And we sort of forget that he is a great athlete.
Yeah.
An NBA player, played years and years, won 4 rings. We forget that he's an athlete. We just think of him as, our buddy Sal.
It's true. And I got to tell you, he pitched well. And like you said, the Greg Maddox of kickball, because he really fielded his position very, very well. He made some great plays out there in the field, and there was one moment late in the game. It was a tie score, 2-2, heading into the 5th inning. You only play 5 innings in kickball, which I didn't even know that until we got there. But it was a 2-2 game, and Chris Rose had just come off the field. He made a great double play.
Great double.
He started the inning. He made a terrible error at first base, but he really redeemed himself with a great double play. Running off the field, no run score for the Valley Girls, our opponent in that game, and Rose wanted to give a speech to the team. It seemed like
he was trying to bring everyone in, get them all
rally
riled
everybody, and because we're heading into the bottom of the 5th, it's 2-2. All we need is 1 run to win, and Sally, the competitor in him, really took over because he came in, he put a halt to Chris Rose's speech.
No cheering.
He said,
nothing.
He said, we haven't won anything yet. He goes, there's going to be no cheering. He goes, what's this guy ever won? Nothing. Listen to me. We don't cheer until we win.
And the cheer fizzled. it faded away.
But he was right.
He
was right. We hadn't won anything yet. We still needed to score a run.
We're not going to give it away, right?
No, we're not going to say whether or not we scored the run in the bottom of the 5th inning, because of course it hasn't aired on Best Damn yet. You're going to see that next Friday.
Friday, yes.
Exactly, a long feature. So you're going to find out if we actually scored that run in the bottom of the 5th inning and beat the 6th-ranked kickball team in the nation. But it's a lot of fun.
And by the way, I'm actually looking. Jason has the scorecard right in front of him. He was the manager of the team.
Right.
And most managers are allowed to actually keep score. All he has is the lineup on here. The rest of the sheet
I put
can
the
be
lineup,
reused.
But I forgot to, during the first inning, I realized, I forgot to score the game. And then I didn't do it from that point on. I was too into the game.
It's
I got sidetracked. It's very intense. But, the weird thing I discovered about kickball, and then we'll move on. I think, we've talked kickball maybe long enough.
We can't talk about it long enough, but we have to get to our guest.
The thing that I learned about kickball is that, unlike softball, there's a lot of bunting in kickball.
A lot.
Which I didn't realize. And
a bunt's like a double.
You would think that it kind of takes the fun out of the game, but I guess strategy plays a part in it. So you really want to put your best athletes at shortstop and third base.
Pitcher.
Or pitcher, which is why we had Sal there, and also Alfonso playing shortstop. He's a pretty good athlete.
Yeah, he tricks you.
Yes.
You see him, you don't really think of Carlton being the great athlete. We all know that he can dance,
right.
But he can man the.
So, by the way, a couple of other interesting things. Tony Todd called Alfonso Ribeiro Carlton.
More than once.
For almost the length of the game.
Yes.
Until Alfonso had to say, listen, dude, it's Alfonso.
And in that duo, Alfonso's a much bigger star. He should have.
Yes. Now, he might not be Charlie Sheen's best friend.
Right.
But he's the
Will
bigger
Smith's best friend.
He's the bigger celebrity, and all respect due. You can't call him Carlton.
But speaking of the Carlton, the crowd, the whole day was hoping
for the Carlton
dance to see a dance, and there was one moment
when it could have happened.
It could have happened. We were very close. A play at the plate.
Yes, exactly. And there was a time when he was getting heckled by the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the kickball fans there were rooting for the Valley Girls and not for Best Dam.
That was the home team. We were the away team.
And when Alfonso got to the plate, the whole crowd was chanting Carlton.
They were.
Yeah, and
there was a
I
time
don't think he liked it.
Because each of our players batted twice. I think some might have gotten a third go at it, but he was nervous to get up there the second time. But he got up and he got on base.
Yeah. So I will say when you see this feature next Friday, some things to look out for. Obviously, that great double play that Chris Rose made. Bernie Kim, podcast co-host, was involved in probably the freakiest play I've ever seen, not only in kickball, but on a baseball field or a football field. It's almost like getting struck by lightning. What happened to Bernie in this game?
It couldn't happen if we staged it.
Exactly. So I don't want to give anything more away about that. You'll have to see the feature to see what happened to Bernie. And like I said, it was 2-2 tie score going into the bottom of the inning. And did we score the run to go ahead?
You'll have to watch.
I will say this: we did not lose the game.
No, we did not lose the game.
Fill in the blanks there. Anyway, so kickball. We had a great time. That was Monday night. We had a great week on Best Damn. But what I want to do right now, I want to get to an email that we got from one of our podcast listeners. Goes by the name of Nooch.
Oh, of course, Nooch.
Yeah, good old Nooch.
Yeah.
Nooch, a first-time podcast emailer. Hopefully not the last time. He says, dudes, when are you guys ever going to do the fantasy pro wrestler football team? I've been waiting for like 2 weeks, and he wants to know when that's going to happen.
They're, of course, talking about in a prior podcast.
Yeah, we got an email asking if we had to name a pro wrestler football team with current and past pro wrestlers at each position. Who would we pick? So in other words, who would be the quarterback, who would be the wide receiver, the running back? And we've been talking about it on the podcast. We haven't quite done it yet, but I can announce right now that we are going to do it in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
Now, I'm going to tell you why we're going to do it in 2 weeks.
I don't even know this.
Because on October 3rd, sitting in studio, possibly not even on the phone as we usually have our guests, but maybe even sitting next to Bernie and I in studio, is going to be Big Show.
The Big Show?
Now,
well, it's the Big Show, that guy.
That
the
guy,
Big Show.
I don't even know how he's going to fit into the podcast studio.
I don't know if he can get into the
budgets being what they are with podcasts, it's not the biggest room in the world.
No.
And he's a pretty big dude.
He's the Big Show.
Exactly. So we're going to have him on the podcast 2 weeks from today
on
October 3rd.
He can't get through that door.
No,
Isn't he 7'10"?
He's up there. Yeah. He might be. He's like 7'10" and maybe like 450.
Are you going to be intimidated with the Big Show sitting next to you, Jason?
I might be.
You should be.
I might. Wouldn't be the first time. I'm intimidated with you sitting next to me.
I mean, I'm just as big as the Big Show.
So anyway, Nooch gave us some suggestions. He gave us his lineup. I'll just read some of them, and it's funny because his quarterback, the original email that we got asking us to do this segment, had this guy as quarterback as well, and he picked Mr. Perfect. And I said at the outset, I said I wasn't quite sure that would be my quarterback, but I might have rethunk that. And we'll talk about that in 2 weeks. But he says Mr. Perfect could play quarterback, Booker T at running back. I disagree there. His wide receivers are Matt Hardy and Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
It's a lot of speed, but not a lot of height.
Exactly. It's kind of hard to argue, but I like his punt and kick returner. He's got Rey Mysterio, which is a good one. And, of course, Andre the Giant's on the offensive line. Undertaker, he has Big Show on his offensive line.
I think Big Show would be a good tight end.
I got to tell you, with that offensive line, you could pretty much put anybody at running back.
Quarterback,
and they're going to rush for about 200 yards every game.
Could you rush for 1,000 yards in a season with that offensive line?
That's better than the Cowboys' offensive line from back in the days when Emmitt Smith was rushing there.
Wow,
so
bold statement, but I tend to agree.
Hey, Undertaker, Big Show, Andre the Giant. I'm not saying those are my picks. This is Nooch's lineup, but it's hard to argue with Nooch.
It's a good line.
It's a good lineup, and of course he's got some cheerleaders here, Stacy Keebler and Ms. Elizabeth being two of them.
We know Stacy. She's a friend of the show. We can maybe ask her to.
We do, and she actually a former cheerleader for the Baltimore Ravens.
If you guys have ever watched Best Damn, we show it every time she's on, and she's embarrassed every time.
Every time. So there you go. So Nooch, we're going to get to that in 2 weeks. It's going to be a great show with the Big Show. So stay tuned for that one.
And thanks for the email.
Yeah, always thanks for the email. And again, bestdampodcast@yahoo.com. If you want to send us an email, see what happens. We read them on the air.
Nooch.
We make Nooch famous.
Even Nooch.
Yeah, so thanks, Nooch. You want to get to our guest?
Absolutely.
This guest is perhaps going to be the NL Cy Young Award winner.
He's one of the two front runners.
He really is. He's 17-4. He's got a 2.46 ERA. He's closing in on 250 strikeouts. I mean, if this guy's not the Cy Young, I don't know who is.
And if this doesn't get him there, I don't know what will.
Let's hope so. He is San Francisco Giants pitcher Tim Lincecum. Hey, Tim, welcome to the Best Damn Podcast. How are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
We're great. Hey, so where are you calling us from right now?
I'm actually in a car right now on the way to go get some lunch.
And where will you be getting some lunch from today?
Somewhere on Rodeo Drive with by my agency, I guess.
Wow, that's
the agency that I'm with. So
that's kind of fancy there, Rodeo Drive. Who picks up the tab for that one?
Not me.
Hey, so let's talk about last night's game. You guys,
yeah.
It was a hard luck loss last night. In the fifth inning, you got hit by Randy Johnson while trying to bunt. It looked like you were in a lot of pain. How's the hand doing?
Oh, it's fine. It was, it just got my index finger, my left hand just got pinched between the ball and the bat. So that's pretty much, whatever pain you can imagine that being, that's what I was going through.
Now, I got to ask, did you think at any point about charging the mound?
No, the last thing I was just more worried about trying to get, feeling back in my fingers, so.
Now, so it was your first time facing Randy Johnson. How was that, and did you actually want to throw at him afterwards? You got to get him back. It's the rules of baseball.
No, I understood what was going on. That was my fault. I was hanging out over the plate. He threw me. I was expecting a slider. Trying to bunt a slider was not easy, so I figured he'd throw it again, and sure enough, a fastball that just kind of ran back in on me, caught me, so.
Hey, so you're having a fantastic season. Right now you're second in the NL in wins. You're first in ERA and strikeouts. Obviously, everybody's talking Cy Young at this point. Has the thought crossed your mind, and why don't you make your pitch? Tell us why you should be the Cy Young Award winner this year in the National League.
That's a tough thing to make me do, but I don't know.
It's the podcast. Everyone's listening. This is your one chance.
We have a lot of Cy Young voters listening to the podcast, Tim.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I had a pretty strong year. As far as consistency goes, I think I'm up there with some of the better ones. But I don't know. It's all about just, for me, giving my team a chance to win. And I've been trying to do that to the best of my ability since I've been here. So, that's the only thing I can really preach for myself.
All right. Hey, so, obviously you've got this unorthodox delivery. Where did you learn to pitch like that?
I actually learned those mechanics through my father, growing up as a little kid, 5, 6 years, 7 years old, learning the mechanics that I have right now and just kind of, working on to the point where it's second nature. It's been so long that I've been working with the same mechanics that it just comes a lot easier to me. So.
Now, speaking of your father, we heard he likes to call into KMBR, the other radio stations up in the Bay Area.
Apparently, I heard that too.
Yeah, what kind of embarrassing things? Has he given up any good tidbits about Tim?
Not that I know of. I haven't heard anything bad, so I mean, as long as it ain't bad, then I don't worry about it.
Hey, so do you at any point say to your dad, hey, look, you need to stop calling into these radio stations? Like your teammates aren't giving you crap for it or anything like that?
No, I mean, I think one of my friends actually, told me that it happened, and I was like, no way, he did not. But I haven't gotten too much trouble about it at all.
So you haven't heard him on the radio?
No, I have not heard him.
What do you think your dad talks about when he's on there? What would you guess he's telling you?
I have no baseball.
Actually, I think he was on there the other day saying how Brandon Webb should be the NL Cy Young Award winner.
Did he?
No, I'm kidding, obviously. Hey, so I was reading you were on the cover of Sports Illustrated earlier this year. There was a huge article in there, and one of the things they mentioned in the article was that, back in the day when you were 12, 13 years old, you used to throw tantrums on the mound. Is that true? And what kind of things were you doing out there?
I wouldn't necessarily say tantrums. Like if I didn't get a call, I'd throw my arms up in the air and, in frustration and stuff, and bicker at some of the players. I didn't exactly keep a good cool, but I don't know as far as tantrums go. I mean, I wasn't crying out there.
Right. You ever get tossed from a game?
No, I don't believe I've ever been tossed. I can't remember if I have. So.
Oh, you'd remember that.
Hey, so tell me if this is true. I heard that when you first got called up, you used to be mistaken for the bat boy at the stadium, and security wouldn't let you in, or they'd at least give you a hard time.
Boy, coach's son, whatever. I mean, whoever I wasn't, old enough to probably be in the clubhouse, or I was mistaken for someone who shouldn't have been in the clubhouse.
Now, when did that stop? Do they still mistake you, or is your face...
it's getting easier now. I mean, I don't know, I always have my ID handy, so I just pull that out.
How old do you have to be to get into the clubhouse of the Giants?
I don't know. I don't think there's an age limit, but, you can have their player's card, obviously, or someone just knowing who you are.
Hey, so one of your teammates happens to also be a real good friend of Best Damn Barry Zito. Now, the big discrepancy between the two of you, while you're making a little over $400,000 a year, Barry Zito happens to be making about $14.5 million a year. So please tell me he picks up the tab every single time you guys go out to eat.
Yeah, I mean, he has. He's definitely done that. I mean, I don't go out to dinner too much with him. I mean, he's got his own deal, his thing going on. So, I don't know, whenever we do get the chance, I don't think he's ever hesitated to take it up.
Now, is he as quirky as we know him to be when he's in that clubhouse?
Yeah, he can be. He's usually they're strumming on his guitar, listening to some headphones and music, or doing some weird calisthenics. I don't know.
Hey, so we saw some pictures from the San Diego Padres rookies. They're all dressed up as Hooters waitresses. This obviously part of the rookie hazing. What was the hazing like for you last year when you were a rookie on the Giants?
I had to dress up in like a green Tinkerbell outfit with like some shimmery silver hair and a wand. But that's
Halloween's coming back. You can bring that one back this year.
It was a bunch of people were dressed up. They're all made for females, obviously, but I think that was the whole joke behind it. Strangely enough, mine actually fit me pretty decent.
Hey, so have you guys hazed your rookies this year? What have you done to get them back?
Yeah, I mean, right before when we were going into San Diego from our homestand, we dressed them up. I think we had like Scooby-Doo, we had Ketchup and Mustard, Batman and Robin. We had Cinderella. We had like a Sultan. What else did we have? We had like a French maid. We had like the St. Pauli girl.
How do you dress up as Ketchup and Mustard?
They actually have those costumes. I have no idea. They just they got hats that look like. I mean, obviously they're yellow and red, but they just look like wizard hats or whatever they're called. I have no idea.
Wow. All right, well, hey, listen, Tim, thanks for joining us on the Best Damn Podcast. Good luck the rest of the way, and Hopefully you will be the NL Cy Young Award winner this year because you deserve
Thanks
it.
for having me, guys.
You got it, Tim. We'll see you next time.
Good luck,
Have a
Tim.
good one.
There he is, your probable NL Cy Young Award winner, Tim Lincecum.
He's got my vote. If I had a vote, he'd have my vote.
It would be great if podcast hosts got to vote for the Cy Young, but I don't think that's the case
The
yet.
winter meetings this year, they'll talk about it.
But you know what? I do think that the podcast has some Cy Young Award voters listening, and hopefully they'll now put their vote towards Tim Lincecum.
If they don't, they...
And not that guy, Brandon Webb.
Boo.
So Tim was great. We thank him for joining us on the podcast. And Zeus, I thank you for joining us on the podcast. You did a hell of a job today.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity. It's been my pleasure.
Absolutely. Next week, Bernie Kim will be back from the East Coast. He'll be sitting next to me. But Zeus, you'll never be far.
I'll probably be right behind you too. Just
Exactly.
in case. I'm
Right.
the understudy.
Yes, you'll be back to your podcast producing role next week. But we loved having you here this week. And Zeus, in 2 weeks, I mentioned it at the beginning of the podcast. I'll mention it one more time. 2 weeks from today, October 3rd, sitting next to me and Bernie Kim will be The Big Show.
Well, it's the big show.
There you go. Maybe we should have you just sing his theme song when he walks into the podcast studios.
What do you mean maybe? We're definitely doing that. We are definitely doing that.
I can't wait. That's he's going to be a great guest, and if you've got some email questions, kind of send them our way, and we'll ask The Big Show when he's here. It's bestdampodcast@yahoo.com. So if there's something you want to ask Big Show, if there's something you want to ask me or Bernie, we will read your emails on the air, as we always do.
And if you want to ask me, Zeus, something, I'm sorry.
No, if you have a question for Zeus, you can
your
email
Best
us.
Damn Podcast.
Exactly. We'll get those to Zeus.
Yeah.
So for Jason Cahill,
And Zeus filling in for Bernie.
thanks for listening to the podcast, and we'll see you next week.